to all the crazy people on social media, basically calling her every name under the sun because she chose to play in Indiana. These are the same people that are like, oh, she'll never play in Indiana for obvious reasons. And she went and defended the Indiana fans and was like, talking about, she was basically like, talking positively about the fans that were interacting with her positively, and was responding to one of the crazy posts about her being like, I'm getting screenshots of things you were saying about me. Can you just stop?
DeWanna Bonner just shattered her 6-month Twitter silence, and she didn't return with a simple "I'm back" tweet. Instead, she unleashed a bombshell that's got the entire WNBA buzzing. Not only is she joining the Indiana Fever, but she's also turning the tables on a worn-out narrative. You know the one, that Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever fans are toxic? That storyline is officially over, thanks to one powerful tweet from Bonner.
This WNBA offseason told a lot of dumbass narratives, right? It really did. And I hope they're gone for good. And I hope we spend so much less time discussing nonsense. But I think we've seen it stamped out this offseason. And one of those narratives was people wouldn't want to go to the Fever because of the Fever fan base.
Now, you might be asking, isn't that the team everyone seems to love to despise? Well, Bonner isn't buying into that narrative. She just dropped a tweet that's sending shockwaves through the league. And believe me, it's touching on issues that go far beyond just the game of basketball.
It goes to show you that I think hopefully all that stuff has been put in the rear view. And of course, Bonner is a pro.
Imagine this, Bonner casually scrolling through her phone, likely with a steaming cup of coffee in hand, stumbles upon the usual noise. Critics are bashing her for signing with Indiana. Detractors claim no one would ever choose to play for the Fever. And those so-called experts are clinging to their tired narrative like it's the final slice of pizza at a party. But instead of brushing it off, Bonner had enough. She didn't merely respond. She dismantled that feeble storyline with the precision of one of her signature shot blocks.
Y'all, I don't get on here often because this app is insanely too much sometimes. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the love I've received so far. Deaf, not unnoticed. The love is real.
Her tweet was absolute fire. It wasn't just about defending herself. It was a full-throttle rally for Indiana Fever fans. In essence, Bonner declared, "You're loud, you're passionate, and you're real. That isn't toxic. That's what genuine fandom looks like." And she didn't stop there. She pulled back the curtain on the hypocrisy. How is it that when other fan bases show their passion, it's hailed as support, but when it comes to Indiana, it's painted in a different light? It just doesn't add up.
She's gone online for 2 times. One is to call out the crazy people attacking her right now because she joined the Fever.
And here's why it matters. Bonner isn't some rookie scrambling for attention. She's a champion, a bona fide legend on the court, and an unstoppable force when it comes to scoring. When she speaks, the entire league listens. This isn't merely a player airing grievances online. It's a respected leader calling out the absurdity. Having witnessed it all in the WNBA, she's unafraid to voice what everyone else has been thinking.
You know, Fever fans are probably starving for that. And I think seeing the validation of the players choosing their team.
But here's the twist. Her tweet wasn't solely aimed at the fans. Bonner put the entire league on alert, making it crystal clear that Indiana isn't just a team fighting to stay relevant. With Caitlin Clark leading the charge, the Fever are crafting something truly extraordinary, and Bonner is all in. She's not merely joining a team, she's stepping into a movement.
And it's funny because if you're seeing like DeWanna Bonner, if you're seeing like Natasha Howard, on social media, Natasha Howard's posts are getting 100 times more likes, and DeWanna Bonner's being reacted more positively probably than she ever has been in her career.
And get this, the reaction has been nothing short of phenomenal. Fans are rallying behind her, Fever supporters are louder than ever, and even players from rival teams are stepping up to show their support. The whole narrative has been completely overturned.
Be an olive branch to us all to focus on the basketball. But I did think it was worth sharing simply because I know a lot of those fans, the new fans, felt rejected and beaten down a lot. And I think this is symbolic.
Now all those critics who once insisted no one was eager to play for Indiana are scrambling to backtrack, acting as if they never said a word. Meanwhile, Bonner, Caitlin Clark, and the Fever are busy strategizing their next move. And trust me, what's coming is nothing short of legendary.
You know, no argument that the Fever are a great basketball destination. That Caitlin Clark is a great basketball.
Chances are you've caught wind of the so-called Indiana Fever fan controversy. But do you really know the full story? It all began when Alyssa Thomas, Bonner's wife, decided to stir the pot. She boldly claimed that Fever fans were so intimidating, players were shunning the team, as if they were avoiding a barren basketball wasteland.
In my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. You know, we had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And yeah, there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media.
Here's the twist. Despite all the chatter, star players are eagerly lining up to join the Fever. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, these aren't just role players, they're bona fide WNBA icons. When they saw those headlines labeling the fan base as toxic, their response was a resounding, "Count me in." Now, let's talk facts. The numbers speak for themselves. Fever fan engagement is skyrocketing. We're talking sold-out arenas, merchandise flying off the shelves, and social media buzzing like it's draft night every day. This fan base isn't toxic, it's downright electric. And let's not overlook the Caitlin Clark effect. This isn't just a player making ripples. She's a tidal force, turning casual observers into die-hard fans. The very team once dismissed as irrelevant is now the hottest ticket in town. It's like criticizing an entire library because one book had a torn page. It just doesn't add up.
The Fever fan base being painted with this broad brushstroke was always just stupid, really. There's no other word for it, because Caitlin Clark brought more fans to the league than it's ever seen. So many of them are Fever fans, and the new fans that come in outnumber the old fans that were already there. You don't want to tell those people they're unwelcome.
So what's really going on here? Are Fever fans as cruel as a few bitter voices claim? Not even close. Sure, every team has its share of misfits. That's just part of the game. But those few don't define the overall culture. The true spirit of this fan base is all about passion, and it's that very energy that's powering the Fever's ascent.
And a lot of fans, I think, felt unwelcome as a result of that, because when you look at every sport and every fan base, there are going to be bad apples. With every group of people, there are. And the larger that group becomes, of course, then the larger the small percentage of bad apples are. But if you've ever followed sports, you see people acting stupid online or even live at games.
Here's the bottom line. Why are top-tier players flocking to Indiana? It's straightforward. They see the vision. They recognize what's brewing in that front office. Perhaps it's the chance to win, the lucrative endorsements, or simply the understanding that Indiana Fever fans form the backbone of something extraordinary, not a problem. The reality is that this team is redefining the narrative. From dismantling outdated perceptions to building an electrifying culture fueled by passionate supporters, the Fever are on the rise. In the end, it's not just about basketball. It's about creating a legacy and proving that when you have vision and true fan support, you can turn any doubter into a believer.
Apparently, there's a WNBA player named A'ja Wilson. Apparently, she's pretty good. Caitlin Clark brings it down, goes twice between her legs, step back, jack. A'ja Wilson doesn't like that. A'ja Wilson isn't smart enough to understand that everybody's going to get fat because of Caitlin Clark. Everybody won't get fat if they keep bringing up the ridiculous, idiotic, and tired old notion of racism.
A'ja Wilson has ignited a blazing storm of drama, challenging Caitlin Clark in a manner that's capturing everyone's attention. Is this the fiercest rivalry in WNBA history? A'ja Wilson, a three-time WNBA MVP, has been unstoppable on the court with astonishing stats and consecutive outstanding seasons. She's undeniably one of the league's greatest athletes. However, A'ja isn't just letting her performance speak for itself, she's making her presence felt loudly and clearly off the court as well.
A'ja Wilson, who whined and moaned and continues to whine and moan that Caitlin Clark is only popular because she's white, couldn't be more.
In a recent intense interview, A'ja Wilson made some significant statements that are stirring up the basketball community. She didn't just challenge Caitlin Clark. She alluded to a more profound issue that's been simmering beneath the surface for some time. Caitlin Clark, the emerging star and generational talent, has dominated both college basketball and the WNBA spotlight. With her electrifying performances and bold attitude, she's become the center of attention. However, A'ja isn't on board with this. Why is Caitlin Clark receiving all the attention? My achievements last season alone surpass her entire career. And if that wasn't enough, A'ja went a step further by claiming that the primary reason Caitlin garners so much hype is because she's white.
Hey, look, we love Steph Curry as a black man because of how he plays. We don't give two craps about Steph Curry or Caitlin Clark being white, black, green, or purple. When in doubt, yell racism, and when in doubt, look stupid doing it. And the latest is this moron named A'ja Wilson.
A'ja Wilson has ignited a full-scale drama, publicly challenging Caitlin Clark in a way that's sparking widespread conversations. Could this be the most intense feud in WNBA history? A'ja Wilson, a three-time WNBA MVP, has been unstoppable on the court with impressive statistics and back-to-back stellar seasons. She's unquestionably one of the league's premier athletes. However, A'ja isn't just letting her on-court prowess speak for itself. She's making her stance known loudly and clearly off the court as well. A'ja didn't stop with Caitlin Clark. She also brought Paige Buchers into the conversation, with Paige set to join the WNBA soon. A'ja is already asserting that she's not getting the spotlight she deserves because she is a black woman. Her frustration seems to stem from feeling overlooked, questioning why her MVP seasons, record-breaking performances, and championships aren't making her the face of the league. But here's where things get wild. A'ja suggested that Caitlin Clark should face a lifetime ban for what she described as a lack of respect for the game and its pioneers. What does that even mean? The internet exploded. Fans are taking sides, with some agreeing that race plays a role in media narratives, while others believe A'ja is going too far. Here's what she had to say. I think it's a huge thing. A lot of people may say it's not about black or white, but to me, it is. It really is, because you can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, but yet that's something that people don't want to see. They don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter what we do as black women. We're still going to get swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it really is. Players like Breanna Stewart and Diana Taurasi have reportedly weighed in. A'ja Wilson is the queen of the WNBA, but Caitlin Clark is box office. The debate over A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark isn't just about stats or accolades, it's about what defines greatness in the WNBA and who deserves the spotlight. Is this frustration rooted in jealousy and an inability to accept that Caitlin Clark has changed the game in ways A'ja never has? A'ja Wilson plays for the Las Vegas Aces, a team so stacked with talent that they could probably win games with half the roster. Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young are not just supporting players, they're stars in their own right. With teammates like these, A'ja has the luxury of playing in a system that allows her to excel without carrying the entire load. In fact, if we're being honest, Kelsey Plum deserves more credit than she gets. Her playmaking, scoring, and ability to take over games make life significantly easier for Aja. If Kelsey wasn't there to pick up the slack, would Aja still be an MVP? That's debatable. It's worth noting that MVP stands for Most Valuable Player, not Best Player on a stacked team. Without Kelsey, Aja's numbers and impact would likely shrink. So when Aja claims she's the league's most valuable player, one has to wonder, valuable to whom? The Aces could probably still dominate without her, but the same cannot be said for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. While Aja thrives in the league, Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA as the savior of a struggling franchise. The Indiana Fever had been floundering for years, a team barely making headlines and far from playoff contention. Then Caitlin arrived. In just 8 months, she turned a forgettable team into a playoff contender. Her presence forced her teammates to elevate their game, and her leadership has been nothing short of transformative. Unlike Aja, Caitlin doesn't have the luxury of multiple all-stars sharing the load. She's the sole centerpiece, carrying the team on her back while navigating the immense pressure of being a rookie in the spotlight. Aja might want to criticize Caitlin's recognition, but she hasn't faced the kind of uphill battle that Caitlin has in her first season. One of Aja's loudest complaints is about the awards Caitlin has received. While Aja is proud of her MVP title, it's clear that Caitlin's recognition as WNBA Player of the Year and Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year has struck a nerve. These accolades highlight Caitlin's unparalleled contributions to the game, both on and off the court. Here's the difference. Aja's MVP is tied to team success. Caitlin's awards recognize her individual brilliance and the broader impact she's had on the league. The MVP award is often debated, but Player of the Year and Athlete of the Year make one thing clear. Caitlin's influence transcends basketball. She's not just a great player, she's a cultural phenomenon.
This Nike billboard honors the all-time NCAA Division I scoring leader. I love that.
Nike has finally reached out to Caitlin Clark with a substantial apology, signaling a strategic move that goes far beyond merely adding a banner or placing a prominent advertisement in an arena. For months, fans have been left wondering why Nike, the world's leading sports brand, remained silent about its most promising young star. Their prolonged silence was nothing short of deafening. With Adidas now stepping in with a lucrative offer, Nike appears to be urgently addressing the situation to secure Clark's allegiance. The pressing question is whether Nike's apology is heartfelt or simply a reactive measure to prevent losing Clark to a competitor. This unfolding drama not only highlights the fierce competition within the sports apparel industry, but also sets the stage for Clark's potential dominance in the WNBA.
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world?
Caitlin Clark, women's basketball's breakout star, had an extraordinary season. She propelled her team to new heights, shattered multiple records, and captivated audiences with her electrifying play style, establishing herself not just as a player, but as a true game changer. With Nike securing her with a substantial contract, expectations soared that her first playoff game would become the most watched WNBA playoff event since 2000, potentially drawing 1.84 million viewers. However, reality fell short of these lofty expectations.
And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark.
For months, Nike did little to promote Caitlin Clark. There were no major shoe releases, campaigns, or significant advertisements, leaving fans puzzled by the brand's silence. This was starkly different from Nike's robust support when LeBron James entered the NBA, complete with signature shoes and nationwide billboards. Meanwhile, Adidas seized the opportunity. Rumors emerged that Adidas was ready to offer Clark a $30 million deal. positioning her as the face of women's basketball, much like LeBron for men's. Adidas wasn't willing to let Nike's oversight continue without capitalizing on Clark's rising prominence. So, what happened next? After months of neglect, Nike finally acted by displaying a massive banner of Clark at the Indiana Fever Arena. This grand gesture seemed less like a celebration and more like damage control to prevent her from moving to Adidas. Fans doubted its sincerity, viewing it as a reactive measure rather than genuine support. Nike had ample time to promote Clark, but waited until Adidas showed interest, appearing to panic at the threat of losing her. Clark didn't passively accept Nike's sudden attention. She attended Nike's event and delivered a powerful speech about the future of women's basketball, emphasizing the sport's growth, increasing viewership, and the importance of national television coverage. Her upcoming signature shoe, modeled after Kobe Bryant's legendary line, signifies more than personal achievement. It represents Nike's attempt to finally invest in women's basketball. However, the delay has left fans skeptical about Nike's true intentions. Nike has a history of prioritizing male athletes over female counterparts, evident in their treatment of LeBron James and Kevin Durant compared to Serena Williams or Diana Taurasi. If Clark were a man, Nike would have undoubtedly invested in her from the start. This disparity suggests Nike was more concerned about losing a lucrative partnership than genuinely supporting her. Although Nike's recent actions are a step forward, they seem too little, too late. Adidas has already established itself as a brand that truly supports women's sports, making a substantial investment in Clark. The battle now hinges on whether Nike can regain Clark's trust or if Adidas will secure her allegiance permanently. Let's not forget other major brands like Under Armour and Puma are after her as well. Some fans would also love to see Clark release her own sporting goods brands. Clark is not just a phenomenal player, but a trailblazer advocating for the growth of women's basketball. Her influence extends beyond the court, inspiring young girls and pushing for greater investment and recognition of the sport. Signature shoes symbolize an athlete's star power and the brand's commitment. LeBron James's signature shoe marked Nike's full investment in him, and Clark's shoe has the potential to do the same for women's basketball. However, Nike's delay has allowed Adidas to gain an advantage, positioning themselves as the true supporters of the sport. This conflict between Nike and Adidas highlights a broader shift in the sportswear industry's approach to women's sports. Historically overlooked, women's basketball is now recognized as a significant and profitable market, thanks to athletes like Clark. Whether Nike's apology is sincere or merely strategic, it indicates a changing landscape where supporting female athletes is becoming essential. Caitlin Clark is more than a basketball player. She is reshaping the game both on and off the court. Her decision to stay with Nike or move to Adidas will have profound implications for the future of women's sports. Brands are finally recognizing her immense value, and their support will influence the trajectory of women's basketball.
You come in as a rookie and like you said, like you're trying to figure out a new environment, new teammates. Like you don't want to say too much. You don't want to say too little. And it's just so hard.
What if I told you that Caitlin Clark's greatest challenge wasn't on the court, but within the locker room? That her most significant achievement wasn't smashing records, but building connections? How do you excel without outshining your teammates? How do you blend in while still standing out?
It's crazy. Like looking back at a year ago today or around this time, like I was just beginning my senior year of college. And obviously, you know, people knew who we were and people attended our games, but it's obviously not on the magnitude that it is now.
Yeah.
So like life just changes fast, but that's what makes it fun and cool. And, you know, quickly started a new chapter of my life too, like moving here to Indianapolis. And
in an insightful podcast interview, Clark opened up about her rookie year and how she navigated those challenges. Her comments about her teammates will make you reconsider everything you thought you knew about the Indiana Fever. what are her true feelings toward the team around her? From sophomore Aaliyah Boston to Fever's close friend Lexi Hull and others such as Kelsey Mitchell and Nalissa Smith, we uncover Caitlin's unfiltered thoughts about them. Ready for the inside scoop? Let's dive in.
I mean, it was just a crazy year because you go all the way up to the national championship game and then you're playing right away.
Yeah.
You know, one of my coaches early on in my career said, you know, your rookie year is always so hard because you're in a new city, you're in a new place, you're with a new team, new coaches. There's so much that's not part of the routine that you're so used to. And you had that as like magnified.
Imagine this. Caitlin Clark, the collegiate phenom, steps onto the WNBA court for the very first time. All eyes are fixed on her, with expectations soaring high. However, Clark's greatest obstacle isn't her performance on the court, it's finding her place within the team. During an eye-opening episode of the New Heights podcast, Clark delved into her rookie anxieties. She shared,
But like in my scenario, and obviously you guys too, like you're already highly thought of. Like people are turning to you to like be something or be someone. So it's hard. Like you're trying to get your feet wet, but also not do too much. And I think that's kind of what I struggled in early on is like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how they're going to react.
Pressure was overwhelming, and Clark felt torn between two worlds. She spoke about feeling adrift in the locker room. Should she take the lead or go along with the group? It was a mental battle intensified by her fame. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Clark discovered a positive side. The fast-paced WNBA environment kept her concentrated.
But I think it was good a little bit too. Like you don't have time to overthink things. Like it's just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
like you're just on to the next. But at the same time, like you don't like, I feel like I never really ended the chapter of college. Like it was just like you up and left. But maybe that's good. You don't have a lot of time to think about it. So I think that's definitely the weirdest part of, you know, women's professional basketball and obviously college basketball too. Is just that change. But that's kind of how it has to be too. So it's just different.
Her teammates became her rock during this wild transition. While some teammates caused problems in the beginning, eventually everyone came together to thrive in the WNBA.
For not knowing, you nailed it.
But also, like, I had a lot of really good vets around me, too. So I feel very grateful for that. And we had a fairly young team, too. So, like, people had been through it fairly recently, so they knew how I felt. But, like, I feel like that definitely is a huge challenge. And that goes for whatever professional sport. Like, you're trying to learn, but also people are looking at you like, you got to perform and like be what they drafted you to be, and that can be tough.
In a heartfelt moment, Clark confessed, "I feel like I never truly closed the chapter of college. It was just like you left. But maybe that's for the best. There isn't much time to dwell on it." This highlighted just how abrupt and challenging the transition to the pros can be, even for a star like Clark.
You mentioned the vets, and I think, you know, for me at least, there was a lot. Some vets were incredible. Some of the vets, obviously, you're competing for jobs, so there's a little bit there, but you lean so much as a young player on your vets, and you lean so much from like, even just like in Philly, there's so many great players that played for the Eagles that like Harold Carmichael, who was a legendary Philadelphia Eagle, was like always around and willing to lend advice or anything. Did you have many former players or current players like reach out to you that really helped you in transitioning into the WNBA?
As Caitlin Clark continues to navigate the high-pressure world of the WNBA, her journey stands as a powerful example of resilience and growth. From overcoming locker room challenges to embracing the fast-paced professional lifestyle, Clark is not only proving her prowess on the court, but also her ability to build meaningful connections with her teammates. Her honest reflections highlight the complexities of transitioning from college stardom to the pros, reminding us that even the brightest stars face their own set of challenges. What do you think the future holds for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever?
She'll be the biggest female star ever because she can pull up from the parking lot.
She is a killer. She is stone cold.
Caitlin, man, she's a phenomenon. She's the best female collegiate player ever.
Caitlin Clark is capable of magical things.
Caitlin Clark is continuously setting new benchmarks as a trailblazer in women's basketball by revealing a surprising element in her Fever contract. Celebrated for her exceptional talent and leadership on the court, she's now making significant impacts off the court as well. The basketball community is abuzz after an unexpected detail of her Fever contract surfaced, and honestly, it's a game changer, not only for Caitlin, but also for the future of how athletes manage their careers.
Knowing that before Caitlin was Rihanna and Diana and Sue and Rebecca and all of those, Dawn Staley as a player, where does it go? Can it continue to climb, and will it climb on the back of now Paige Bueckers?
For anyone questioning the Caitlin Clark effect, we now have people wanting to watch golf because of her. We saw the kind of offer that Ice Cube made to Caitlin to play in the Big Three. That is $5 million to play 3 months.
Caitlin Clark continues to set new standards in women's basketball by unveiling a groundbreaking detail in her Fever contract. Renowned for her unparalleled talent and leadership on the court, she's now making significant strides off the court as well. The basketball community is abuzz after revealing an unexpected aspect of her Fever contract, and it's a game changer, not just for Caitlin, but for the future of athletes' career management. The Iowa standout has always been ahead of her time, proving she's not just playing basketball, she's elevating the sport itself. What exactly did she disclose, and why is everyone talking about it? Caitlin Clark secured a $28 million deal with the Indiana Fever, setting a standard for how athletes can leverage their influence. According to insiders and Caitlin herself, her contract includes enhanced travel accommodations, personalized support staff, and resources dedicated to her holistic development as a player and leader. At just 22, she's the only professional women's basketball player on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. Unlike standard team travel arrangements, Caitlin's contract allows her to optimize her schedule and performance, ensuring she can shine without unnecessary distractions. In her first year, she will earn $76,535, along with access to nutritionists, trainers, and mental performance coaches. This reflects the Fever's commitment to player well-being and long-term career sustainability. Reactions have been overwhelmingly positive, with teammates showing genuine support. One player even joked, "If Caitlin's getting all these perks, we'd better start winning more games to keep up." From management's perspective, the Fever's general manager described the contract as a bold step toward redefining excellence in women's basketball. Investing in Caitlin's development is also investing in the future of the league. Fans have praised the move on social media, celebrating Caitlin's role in pushing boundaries and inspiring others. Young athletes everywhere are watching Caitlin's journey and learning that it's okay to demand more. She's not just breaking records, but also breaking barriers, embodying empowerment and leadership. Caitlin handles the spotlight with grace, crediting her teammates and the Fever for believing in her vision. This collective triumph highlights the power of teamwork and innovation. Looking ahead, Caitlin Clark is more than an athlete. She's a trailblazer and a symbol of what's possible when talent meets determination. Her contract with the Fever is a statement of intent, declaring that the future of women's basketball is bright and boundless. By securing provisions that emphasize personal development and well-being, Caitlin is demonstrating that excellence on the court should be matched off the court. The Fever's decision to support her vision marks a cultural shift in women's sports, historically undervalued and under-resourced. Caitlin's contract signals to other franchises and sponsors that investing in female athletes is both ethical and profitable. This move is reminiscent of the legendary Bird Magic rivalry, sparking excitement and essential competition. The domino effect is already taking shape, with other WNBA players exploring similar contract clauses. Younger players are dreaming bigger, inspired by Caitlin's bold move. She advocates not just for her growth, but for the growth of women's basketball as a whole, creating a path for the next generation to thrive. Caitlin Clark has concluded one of the most remarkable years in basketball, backing up her words with actions. She plans to mentor young players and engage in community outreach, creating a transformative ripple effect. Despite critics questioning team equality, Caitlin's approach benefits everyone by enhancing team performance and league recognition. Caitlin's journey is far from over, and this contract is just one chapter in her incredible story. Whether you're a fan or inspired by her drive, there's no denying she's making a lasting impact. Here's to Caitlin Clark, a star on the court, a leader off it, and a true pioneer in every sense of the word.
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Caitlin Clark just became the first WNBA player to claim Time's Athlete of the Year, but not everyone is joining the celebration. It's become increasingly clear she has her share of haters, from Cheryl Swoops, Aja Wilson, to Nalissa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and sadly, the list doesn't end there.
Cheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
In a twist that's both startling and yet oddly predictable, Cheryl Swoops, four-time WNBA champion and now Clark's most outspoken critic, had plenty to say about the athlete's recent win. In today's segment, we'll break down the controversy, examine the backlash, and uncover the unexpected way Clark is handling it all. While Clark had the perfect moment to fire back, she chose a different route, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Here's why her response is a masterclass in grace and leadership.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Imagine this: Caitlin Clark riding high after earning Time Athlete of the Year, yet not everyone's raising a glass. Enter Cheryl Swoops, former WNBA superstar turned unforeseen critic, stirring up drama on the Gills Arena podcast.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Rather than praising Clark, Swoops launches into a full-on tirade, openly challenging the very standards used to grant Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," she says, her voice laced with disbelief. And she doesn't stop there. Swoops rattles off a list of other contenders she believes should have earned the honor instead. The whole thing feels like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts alike puzzled and asking what's really at play.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, you just think about athletes of this year.
Yeah.
It's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you
know,
can put Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
As we delve further into Swoops' remarks, a pattern starts to form. This isn't her first time taking aim at Clark. When Clark shattered the NCAA scoring record, Swoops was quick to downplay it, questioning whether the accomplishment was all that remarkable given how much the game has evolved since the original milestone was set.
Put Aja Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court or
It's
everything
global.
else?
I think it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
What about Wilson? She demands, leaving everyone listening in stunned silence. Is this just a careless slip, or is there something more simmering beneath the surface? Swoop's outburst lays bare a deeper struggle. It's not only about Clark now, it's the old guard facing off against the new era, tradition clashing with the future of women's basketball. Once the sport's leading figure, Swoops now watches from the sidelines as Clark captivates a whole new generation of fans.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, you know, sometimes, you know, just as athletes, you know, we are competitive by nature. And, you know, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
The basketball world is left stunned. Swoops, once a beacon of inspiration for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and disconnected. Her remarks ignite intense debates online, with fans and players alike taking sides. Yet here's the ironic twist. While Swoops questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only intensifies. Her record-breaking performances and swelling fan base speak volumes. The contrast is glaring. One athlete clinging to the past, the other blazing a trail into the future of women's basketball.
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest, so didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
How does Clark tackle this sudden wave of criticism? Does she lash out, stoking the flames? Or does she remain poised under pressure? Her approach to this conflict won't just shape her legacy, it could help reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Buckle up, because Clark is about to reveal the depths of her character.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them, so just really fortunate.
Remember when we said Clark was about to show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Award controversy isn't just surprising, it's genuinely groundbreaking. She's redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While Swoops cast doubt, Clark continues to smash records and win over fans' hearts. How does she handle the criticism? Does she shoot back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road, and that choice has everyone talking.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game, I love playing, I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last 2.5 years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
In her Time interview, Clark doesn't merely shrug off the controversy, she faces it head on with a level of maturity that's capturing everyone's attention. Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom has been accompanied by a refreshing sense of self-awareness.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes a point of recognizing the legends who laid the groundwork for her success. And guess who she gives credit to? Cheryl Swoops herself. It's a move that proves Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court, she's a class act off it as well.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is.
Okay. So what's the
Clark's reply? It's more than simply rising above the fray. It's a masterclass in handling criticism with grace, transforming a potentially negative moment into something uplifting. She's not just standing up for her own achievements, she's raising the bar for the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
The contrast between Clark's approach and Swoops' remarks couldn't be more stark. While Swoops questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just winning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most impactful way possible. Don't mistake Clark's kindness for weakness, though. Her words carry real weight, and her actions speak volumes. She's showing that you don't have to tear others down to elevate yourself. In fact, by paying tribute to those who came before her, Clark is securing her own legacy in basketball history.
Know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
As the controversy fades, one truth stands out. Clark's handling of the situation has transformed what could have been a divisive episode into a moment of unity for women's basketball. She's demonstrated that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has paved the way for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to this display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to roll in, and they may just surprise you.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Clark's triumph and Swoop's critique didn't just grab headlines. They sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball landscape. Opinions are swirling at lightning speed, faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants their say. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a whole army of supporters has turned up. Fans are flooding social media with admiration for the rising star, applauding her poise under pressure and calling out Swoops for what they view as a bitter backlash. As one fan tweeted, Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoops could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that. And like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
How will all this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might heap extra pressure on her next season. Others argue it's only adding fuel to her competitive fire, potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's what nobody can dispute. Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher. Even viewers who've never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't merely a player, she's a phenomenon, and she's redefining the landscape of the sport.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish, and I'm 22. I'm still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out where everything's going to go, and I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful, maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game. While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response, acknowledging the greats who came before her, even Cheryl Swoops, has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw emotion, is inspiring young athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court, making time for fans and remembering what it's like to be the kid in the crowd, resonates on a personal level. This isn't just about Clark and Swoops, it's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the WNBA. She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports command center stage and future players dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point.